Historically, Black Americans have been denied the right to choose employment of choice. In the Journal of Ethics, Tom Buchandt wrote an article called In Defense of Affirmative Action. In this article, he stated the United States of America is built on racial inequality of wealth, work, and social benefits. This statement alone speaks to the reason why affirmative action is so important in the Black community. I will discuss the history of affirmative action and the effects of affirmative action on the Black race. Before exploring the effects of affirmative action, the history must be explained because in order to understand the future, you must first know the past. In the ethical case for affirmative action, Burns writes, the concept of affirmative action originally comes from century-old English legal concept of equality, or the administration of justice according to what was fair in a particular situation, as opposed to rigidly following legal rules which may have a harsh result. Business owners had to make a choice, either to follow the law or take the moral high road. The law dictated an individual of the Black race could not be hired in a position wherein qualified. Instead, an individual would be hired in a position where their skin color qualified. Not only is this concept of affirmative action important, but defining affirmative action will provide a clear insight. Affirmative action, defined in a statement by the United States Civil Rights Commission in 1977, is a term that in a broad sense encompasses any measure beyond a simple termination of discriminatory practice adopted to correct for a past or present discrimination or prevent discrimination recurring in the future. Instead of judging individuals based on their skin color, end all barriers and allow the qualifications to show proof of a good worker. Understanding affirmative action is the first step to applying the concept of affirmative action. The term affirmative action was first applied to employment. Affirmative action has highlighted the struggle of justice, equality, and self-discrimination, and whether African Americans will or ever should be able to enjoy chosen labor and increase life chances. Prior to the introduction of affirmative actions, African American rights were not heard of. African Americans were looked down upon and rights were scarce. The Fundamental Constitution of Carolina, drafted by English philosopher John Locke in 1690, promised Black subordination to white settlers. Every free man of Carolina shall be absolute power and, every free man of Carolina shall have absolute power and authority over Negro slaves, of what opinion or religion soever. Although never published, this work has been broadcasted and adopted by many. Affirmative action provided hope to individuals of Black races and provided an opportunity to break the chains of oppression. White opposition to those modest corrective compensatory programs known as affirmative action comes out of a long history of preservation of that property of whiteness that is also a kind of currency or collateral, but especially a dominant status. Similar to late Jim Crow segregation, laws of the 19th and 20th centuries, early American colonies and republicans color-coded statutes were considered necessary by the early ruling class to discourage backsliding and potential challenges from both blacks and whites to this discriminatory system when mere customs were deemed insufficient. As President Lyndon Johnson said in 1965, "You do not take a person who, for years, has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bring him up to the starting line of race, and then say, 'You are free to compete with others and still just believe that you have been completely fair.'" President Johnson's speech eloquently stated the rationale between the contemporary use of affirmative action programs to achieve equal opportunities, especially in fields of employment and higher education. The emphasis is on opportunity. Affirmative action programs are meant to break down barriers, both visible and invisible, to level the playing field and to make sure everyone is given an equal break. They are not meant to guarantee equal results, but instead proceed on the common sense notion that if equality of opportunity were a reality, African American women, people with disabilities, and other groups facing discrimination would be fairly represented in the nation's workforce and educational institutions. Affirmative action has provided the Black Americans a chance to rise above adversity. This speech has provided a look into the history and concept of affirmative action. Employers' ability to implement affirmative action has helped the Black race with great lengths and provided hope for a brighter future. I hope my paper has resonated with all audiences. Thank you.